naturally you have in the midfield, and it started well. The numbers looked good there at the beginning, but not at the end. So what did you make of what you've got there in reserve or in depth on the midfield?
Yeah, well, it was a good opportunity for a number of those guys, and some of them played some really good footy at Samford level last year. So it was good to be able to give them an opportunity to play through the midfield. And I thought there were some really positive signs. Clearly, the numbers at half time were, from a clearance viewpoint, a raw clearance viewpoint, were stacking up pretty well, and probably more from a bit of centre bounce in the third quarter and then beyond. They got on top, which gave them a bit of field position. But there's some really, for me, there were some really positive signs. I wasn't sort of expecting guys to come here and go bang and have a breakout. It was more the opportunity, and I expect they'll get better in JLT too and beyond.
So does that make you feel about if you were hit with the wall with injuries? What have you got there? How do you feel about that now?
Well, I think we're just starting that process, and we've clearly got some guys who aren't playing at the moment, but we expect those guys to be ready for round one. And really, tonight and next week will be about the opportunity for the guys who are pressing for a spot to put their case forward.
The midfield quality aside, even like numerically, do you have enough?
We think so.
Yeah,
we think so.
How many do you reckon you've got?
Well, I mean, you need what, 7 or 8 through the game, and we exposed some guys who played a fair bit of half forward and half back last year in there, and they're not required to play huge minutes. They've just got to be in a position where they can go in there, and for some of those guys, it's their first game in understanding structures, positioning, bodywork, a lot of things we've been working on. So you've got to be realistic about what we think we're going to get from them tonight. And as I said, I walked away with some positive signs.
Don, you made a strong point about contested footy during the summer. Does this game give you something really strong to reinforce that point again, because you lost it all night?
Yeah, well, we lost the contest. Early times it was it's probably more the ground ball stuff. I thought some of our tackling on the night was strong. So that was a tick, and we'll continue to work on some other stuff. I mean, it's as I said, with a less experienced midfield, we'll continue to work on it.
What did you make of Andy Otten tonight?
Yeah, I was really, really pleased for Andy. I mean, he was a guy who was close to playing at the end of last year, and we know the sort of quality of the guy. And he's been out of it, hasn't played much footy in the last 2 seasons at AFL level. So, no, I was really happy for Andy. He's worked really hard through the pre-season. He's come back with a real determined attitude, and it was good to see him play a solid game tonight.
It's looked pretty seamless for him.
Yeah, look, he's an experienced guy. He's played 80 odd games of AFL footy. So again tonight, some of the guys were a bit nervy and edgy about the opportunity that presented, whereas Andy was more like, I've been here before, and so it was pleasing to see he's got return for the effort he's put in over the pre-season.
Everyone's had to wait a year to see Curtly Hampton, but has that given you an indication tonight of what reason Adelaide went so heavily for him?
Yeah, well, we think Curtly can be that player that can play between half back and half forward. Tonight we played him mainly as an inside mid sort of half forward, and we'll see what the next 2 weeks throws up from a positional viewpoint. But yeah, I mean, he's got a nice blend of power and speed, but it is now about him a bit relearning the midfield stuff, which he hasn't done for a while because he was primarily a half back at GWS.
Has he got stronger over the summer?
I don't.
Stronger, or is it because we haven't seen him for
probably
so long?
Probably haven't seen him. I think the benefit he's had is unlike last year, he hasn't missed a session. And last year we really didn't see him till June, July, and so he's always coming in off a really interrupted preparation. Whereas this year he hasn't missed a session, and he's been able to improve his conditioning, and along with that, his strength and so forth. So he's well positioned to give it his best shot.
I take it as your plan to play Jacobs for a half and then take him out. Was that?
No, look, we would have liked to play Sam a bit longer tonight. Just from an injury viewpoint, he tweaked his back a little bit, which is a bit stiff. And again, this time of year, we take a no-risk policy. Mitch McGovern had a slight knee, which we were expecting he'll be fine. John O'Beach had a bit of a calf, and therefore, after a really bright start, I was looking forward to what he was going to produce. Unfortunately, it was deemed to be too high a risk to keep going. And there was one other, I believe, Cam Ellis-Yeoman, you probably noticed, was a bit hobbling. He's just jarred a knee. Now, all those boys we expect to be fine for next week, but it was just a matter of tonight is not the night necessarily to try and push guys on and through.
Is Hampton effectively replacing Cameron as a small forward, or is he sort of going to play a similar role to what Cameron's going to play?
Oh, and I think he'll probably play more at the moment. The idea is he'll play more as a mid, and Cameron will play a bit of small forward and possibly push up and play minutes up through the midfield, whether it's inside or whether it's on the wing.
How
do you respond when you hear people say that the rub on Adelaide, if there is one, is the midfield depth? I mean, what's your response there?
Well, it's interesting because last year, I know when I started, there was the great fear of the unknown of Patrick Dangerfield leaving, and it was like, how are you going to fill him in? And other guys stepped up, and that's sometimes what we've got to do. We back our guys in, we back our program in, and we back the talent we've got in to make that improvement. And as I said, they played some really good footy at Sanford level. What they need to do is put together a body of evidence clearly that gives them the opportunity to play at AFL level.
What are you looking for in the next 2 games?
Well, a continuation of what we look for tonight. I mean, we want to keep working on our game style. We want to give guys an opportunity to press for selection, and we want to prepare our team for round 1. And nothing's going to change.
Is there a distinctive new edge that you want out of Adelaide this year? Everyone's looking for something different or something to improve or has improved. What are we looking for from Adelaide?
Oh, we're looking for a continuation of what we built on last year. And, we mentioned the contest stuff. We recognise that, in the big games against quality opposition, we want to improve in that area. Our numbers weren't disastrous last year, but it was more that we got to a level whereby, to regularly compete against the better teams, we wanted to get better in that area. And that's across the board, whether it be our forwards, our backs or our mid. So it's not a purely midfield thing. Some of those contested ball numbers exist in various areas.
Well, good, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.